topic which is closest to our hearts, I'm sure all of us, and is also a real serious issue we wanted to address. Every time that we are organizing this family office summit, we do write up that okay, we're going to issue complimentary passes for family office, single family offices, and believe me if I have to tell you, we end up getting 400, 500 requests for complimentary passes, and every single one of them is an advisor who overnight becomes a family office advisor just because he wants to attend an event. Now, nothing wrong with that, but what is more important is clarity in terms of, okay, who's a wealth advisor, who's a multi-family office advisor, what makes a multi-family office organization, and we thought it's high time that we set up an MFO panel, people who are there doing that to tell us what is right and what is wrong. I mean, how to separate wheat from the chaff, how not to fall in the trap of overnight MFO or advisors portraying themselves as MFOs. So idea behind setting up this panel was to get people who we believe are either already doing genuine MFO work or are in the process of setting themselves up through different initiatives. So let me start off on this note with you, Raj. You had an illustrious track record in wealth management, and now you've gone ahead and set up your own company by the name of Interest Family Office. So how do you define this space, first of all?
Actually, when we got down to doing this, in terms of, we initially started off as an investment advisory firm and not as a family office, though we named family office services. But the services which we have added over a period of last 3.5 years have more evolved based on client requirements, and it was not planned earlier. So we understand, we fairly understand what are the services which a multi-family office provides to clients, but I don't think anybody will be able to start off and probably straight away provide all these services to a client unless there is a requirement. So over a period of 3.5 years, it's been a learning, and we have been closely following the evolved family office space, and particularly who's in the UK and the US, which are more evolved markets, and trying to understand what else can be provided for clients as part of the family office service. So initially it was a investment advisory practice, and if you ask me how do I refer to my organization, it's nothing to do with investments. Investments is also there, but we call ourselves more family office services because people come not just for investments with you. People come probably for setting up the succession for the family. It could be a requirement for setting up a real estate desk in terms of probably handling the real estate holdings. So it could be anything. So primarily the idea of setting up a family office, if it's a single family office, is to handle all the affairs of the family, right from expenses, income, travel, leisure, the future generations, education. It could be anything. So a multi-family office is a replica of a single family office, but when you provide to multiple people, and that's why it's called multi-family office. So you don't work for a single family, you work for many families. And so it's a kind of an evolving process. I would say India is still evolving. Yeah. I would definitely not saying that MFO as a concept has evolved and matured as a concept, but yeah, but definitely it's here to stay.
Right. So what according to you is a ticket size, if I have to say for Indian families to qualify for a multi-family office kind of a service setup or a single family office setup?
See, I would put it this way, saying that ticket size, you can't classify this by purely ticket size. But yes, you need a threshold in terms of probably if you need to manage investments per se. But typically there are family offices where the investable surplus is just not there at all. Meaning purely the investments are in their businesses or could be in a kind of a listed company where they are not able to exit. But still there will be a lot of other activities which a family wants to do. So a family office need not have specifically an investable surplus, and that's what I qualified it when I said first, saying that it is not an investment advisory firm. Many family offices today call themselves, family office, but majority of the work what they do is wealth management. Yeah. So typically family office can be run where even the liquidity within the family is absolutely nil.
Correct.
Okay, still you can set up a family office because it's nothing to do with managing investments.
Correct.
Investments is definitely one portion of it, but there could be families where there are no investments at all. So it could be purely in real estate, it could be in their businesses, it could be an unlisted entity, it could be anything for that matter.
Sure. So coming to you, Munish, I think you clearly share my concern of a lot of people trying to call themselves multifamily office advisors. So what's been your experience? How are Indian families? I mean, are they warming up to this entire model, and are the MFOs, there's few genuine MFOs who are out there in the market, are they really able to create this differentiator between them and the other pure play wealth management firms? So how's the trend shaping up in India?
We've had multiple conversations across various platforms on this, and I think this is an ongoing debate.
Yeah.
But genesis of Waterfield was a family office, so the intent was to set up a family office or a multi-family office, and the idea was very simple. And the way we started off, our mandate was that work with typically business families who are now trying to segregate personal wealth and personal assets from the institutional side of their holdings. They may be a promoter of a listed company. So that was the whole genesis of our firm. Historically, most promoters of listed companies, and as one gentleman said in our earlier before lunch conversation, they got their assets and their, let me call it not assets, Raj will not like me, but all affairs of the family managed by somebody who was part of the listed company, and as a hobby, that person was managing the family affairs as well. Now, that has changed over the years, and people are now more open to having a separate private team of people managing their family assets, requirements, operational part of their holdings, risk, governance of their family office. I think that understanding is now come in. There are two sets of people who most MFOs go to. So that's the older promoters of, who has been generational in nature, so third generation promoters of companies who understands managing wealth for family is akin to telling the CFO, please manage this as part of your overall mandate. They are now opening up and saying, what, we understand the risk of one person managing both parts of your assets, and that has a lot of conflict of interest, conflict of time, and obviously the person cannot give enough time. So they are now opening up to that idea. It's very difficult for them. They are also being pulled by the next generation. So the next generation who's maybe educated abroad, they've seen these multi-family offices or single family offices work very well abroad. They are now actually pushing the older generation to set up these shops. So where we come in and where we have actually come in is primarily, and actually 90% of our clients are people who have reached out to us, not us going out and trying to explain. Mm-hmm. But yes, they really want to know. But I can tell you, 3 out of 4 meetings, initial meetings, happen in just explaining to them what a family office does and what a family office is. Mm-hmm. So, like you said, single family office or a multi-family office, I think that's a discussion based on the diversity of the family, the complexity, and not just the size. Yep. But I think the intent to set up the family office now, as compared to maybe 5 years back, huge sea change has happened in this industry. And I'm really sure next 5 to 10 years, outside of the top 100 companies, the 200s to the 600 listed company, each and every family will have either an SFO or work with an MFO. That's the way trend it is going.
Okay, and how does the fee work out in this case? I mean, when you are like a lot of times if it's not investment related and also, is it a fixed fee or some on success fee or some
So that's been the
task?
most learning experience for us as well. So, you know, we all come from wealth management or banking backgrounds. We know what it takes to sell and what wrong selling is all about. And the main intent of fee was to find out which is that sweet spot which will be acceptable to the family. So, and when I say acceptable, many times they are paying much more higher wealth management fees in you know, like commissions and brokerages and those kind. They are not aware of it. I think over the last 2 years specifically, we have understood that the basis point way of approaching a very private banking approaching doesn't work. So you need to have your fixed known rupee amounts or dollar amounts depending on where the family office is as the fee. Now you may have fee for different purpose. Sometimes families come to us just doing an analysis of their wealth portfolio on one hand and just doing an analysis on their structure of their holding. So you can have different functionalities and different pricing models for it. Or you can have a one big shop where almost half of our families require all the services in one group. So you can have a composite fee structure there. But it's almost fixed. It's never on a per basis point or performance related for that matter.
Sure. Coming to you, Anurag, Quant has been, of course, known more for the PMS and broking side, and we've recently seen you putting up most of your senior member team through this family office education. So, I mean, what's the thought process?
I think when we started 4 years back, that is when the business started on the private wealth side. The biggest issue, I think, it's not at our end, it's also acceptability out in the market on the family office space. The moment you go to a investor and you pitch a family office, the first thing the investor tells you is ask you, or what is your product? So it's something that they have been used to. There's something that they have been doing it for last 10 years because there are wealth management outfits, private banks who have always come as a product orientation. So idea is family office is something which according to me is a platform that gives you a comprehensive, responsible and inclusive platform, which it's more goes beyond a profit maximization, which a normal wealth management outfit or a private banking outfit would be, and it goes to finding customized solutions to all your investment needs. So particular family will have a customized solution. So the more customization you can do on your advice, that is how successful you will be in the way that you want to approach the family office.
So, I mean, all of you running your own farms. Recently we came up, we just kind of assembled a list of companies who claim that they're offering family office services. And I had a brief discussion with you, Munish, in terms of where you had reservations that, okay, not everyone is a MF. And I said I completely agree. So other than Entrust and Waterfield, predominantly right now, who are the other genuine names? I mean, if you feel, I mean, my question is to all three of you, who are really doing some quality work. I know this entire space is new for all of us, but still there would be a few stars here or there who are trying to shine brightly and, you know, trying to do it rightly. So, are there any more such names who are doing quality work in this space? I mean, any names you would like to?
See, actually, the issue of running a full suite family office or this kind of an organization is not quite easy. Let's understand the fact that people have always paid fees through invisible means, and nobody has cut a check and given saying that this is my fee, manage my money, or manage anything for that matter. For transactions, yes. For investment banking, yes, people have always paid the fees. But for investment management, nobody has paid fees so far.
Correct.
So it's a big challenge. So organizations, we all know historically, in fact, people started with good intentions in terms of being a family office, but they were not able to sustain over a period of time because of the challenges of this industry. And all of us to blame. Because we were all on the other side. Today we are in the family office side, but we were representing the wealth management business those days. but typically people were not able to pay fees, and initially there were organizations which started with a little fixed fee and probably start taking commissions, and it's completely camouflaged.
Correct.
And the essence of being a non-conflicted model has lost in the bargain. So even today, when as we talk, there have been organizations which say they run family office services, but if you really, in the real essence, they don't. Okay, because they are wealth management firms, but call themselves as family office, and they do transactions. Okay, they're just like any other wealth management firm, earning commissions out of products being sold.
Okay.
So that's not actually a family office. Yeah, so hence it will be difficult for us to probably even name. There could be one or two, definitely yes, I would not say no, but not very prominent
Okay.
at least, and that's what is my view.
So to just ask this question the other way around, say if you are a client and you have to choose a multi-family office for managing your wealth and other such services, what are the key factors you're going to look at? What are the key hygiene factors you're going to look at before you kind of finalize? So basically, what are the do's and don'ts for someone who's trying to set up this service for a client? So
See, if you're talking about me being a client and
Yeah.
probably identifying an MFO to associate with. See, actually, firstly, a client should need a multifamily office. Not everybody needs a multifamily
Of course.
office. Okay. The idea is if I have money and it has to be managed, I can go to a independent investment advisor and get it managed. But if I have probably a lot of real estate investments, I have various stakeholders in the family where I need to do a proper succession, I need